Once player entries start to come in, you can begin the player registration process. This process is a straightforward task that links players from the player database to your event. To start the process, press the player registration button. The system will present you with an event selection response window. To get a list of those events, press the pull down button. Select the event you're going to register your players, in this case the BCGA test event, and press the OK button. The system will respond by giving you the player registration window, and that window is divided into a number of zones. At the very top you will see information about the event you selected. In the middle right you'll see a list of all the players in your player database. As you focus on a specific player, you'll see detailed information on the bottom of the screen about that player, and in the middle left you'll see a registration data area which presently is blank. To register a player into your event, simply focus on the player that you wish to register and click the Register Player button. This will cause the registration data window to partially fill with default values, and you'll simply complete filling in the information to do the registration. Here we're going to indicate that the player has played by check, and we're going to save the registration. When you hit the Save button, you'll notice that the entry date is recorded into this player list side, and that way you'll know that the registration is complete. When you then select on a different player, the window is blank again if there's no entry date, and if you return to the player you just registered, you'll see that information is currently available. There's some other areas on the registration data that we're interested in, such as the Notes area. This allows us to record information about whether a player has requested a late or early tee time. In this case we'll type in late tee time, and this information will be used later in some of our reports to assist us when we do our draw. It is quite likely that amongst your entries you will have a player who is not currently on your player database. You can deal with this in a number of ways. You could go back to the player database process and add that player, or right in the registration screen we can add that player on the fly. And we're going to do that. To add a player on the fly, press the Add Player button at the bottom of your screen and type in the information about the player whose entry you are processing. In this case we're going to be adding Amanda Smith. Indicate female gender, an index of 21.7. We're going to select their home course. In this case it will be Salt Spring, for example, and any other information that's available on this screen. Once we've entered that information, we're going to press the Save Changes, and this will save that player onto the player database, and it will also start the player registration process. All you have to do now is complete that process by filling in the rest of the information and saving that registration. And as you can see now, Amanda Smith is registered into our event. Let's go back and actually put her in the correct flight. We'll put that person into the ladies' flight, save the registration, and we are done with adding a new player and registering that player all at the same time. The next thing we might want to do is look at a player who's withdrawn and remove them from our registration. To do that, just simply focus on that player, hit the Deregister Player button, and that player is no longer registered into our event. You continue through this process until all your entries are processed and we're ready to proceed on to the next step of managing our tournament.